share your views without sounding too direct or confrontational. They help create a more balanced and friendly atmosphere in the conversation. Another aspect of conversational English is understanding the flow of the conversation. Conversations can go in different directions, and that's perfectly fine. One moment you might be talking about movies, and the next you're talking about food or family. The ability to transition smoothly between topics is important. You might say, "That reminds me of something else I wanted to ask you about." Or, "Speaking of that, I've been wondering." These transitions help keep the conversation lively and prevent awkward silences. At times, you might not understand everything that's being said, and that's okay. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. You can politely say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "I didn't catch that part. Could you explain it again?" Asking for clarification is a great way to show that you're engaged and want to understand. Most people appreciate this because it shows you care about the conversation. It's also important to keep your sentences clear and not too complicated. This is especially helpful for beginners. Instead of using long, complex sentences, try to express your thoughts in a simple way. For example, instead of saying, "I would really appreciate it if you could share more detailed information about your recent vacation to Italy, as I'm very interested in that region and would love to visit it myself," you can say, "I'd love to hear about your trip to Italy. What was your favorite part?" This way, you keep the conversation easy to follow and natural. Small talk is a key part of conversational English. It's light, casual conversation that doesn't dive into deep topics, but it's perfect for meeting new people or warming up before a bigger discussion. For instance, when you meet someone new, asking about their day or weekend plans is a great way to start. You could ask, "What did you do this weekend?" Or, "How's your day going so far?" These simple questions help break the ice and allow the other person to talk about themselves, which is something everyone loves to do. Building confidence in your speaking skills also means accepting that you might make mistakes. In fact, making mistakes is part of the learning process, and it's something we all experience. If you don't know a word or phrase, don't be afraid to ask for help or use simpler language. For example, if you forget a word, you might say, "I don't know the word for that, but it's like," describe it. Most people will appreciate your effort and be patient with you. One tip is to practice conversations every day. You can practice with a friend, a language partner, or even by yourself. Try talking to your mirror or use language exchange apps where you can speak with native speakers. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you'll become. And remember, conversations don't have to be perfect. The more relaxed and natural you are, the easier it will be to keep the conversation going. When you're just starting, focus on the basics: greetings, introductions, and simple questions. As you get more comfortable, you can expand your vocabulary and talk about more complex topics like your hobbies, future plans, and opinions. Over time, you'll be able to express yourself with more ease and confidence. Now let's think about how to be a good listener as well as a good speaker. In a conversation, it's just as important to listen carefully as it is to speak clearly. When the other person is talking, make sure you're paying attention and not thinking about what you're going to say next. Nodding, maintaining eye contact, and giving small verbal cues like "I see" or "That's interesting" show that you're actively listening. Active listening is crucial for building connections with others and making your conversations more meaningful. Let's dive even deeper into improving conversational English skills. At its core, having a good conversation is about connection. It's about exchanging ideas, sharing experiences, and learning from each other. To achieve this, we need to develop both confidence and competence in using the language. Let's explore some strategies to elevate your conversational abilities, whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your skills further. A crucial element in building conversational English is expanding your vocabulary. The broader your vocabulary, the easier it will be to express your thoughts. But here's the thing: focus on learning words and phrases that are practical and relevant to your daily life. For example, if you often talk about hobbies, learn vocabulary related to your favorite activities. Instead of memorizing long lists of random words, try to learn phrases that you can immediately use in conversations. For instance, instead of just knowing the word travel, learn phrases like "I'd love to travel to," or "What's the best place you've traveled to?" This way, your learning is purposeful and directly applicable. Another effective method is to learn common idioms and expressions. These are phrases native speakers use all the time, and understanding them can make your conversation sound more natural. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very tired," You can say, I'm worn out. Or instead of saying, I agree with you, you might say, we're on the same page. These small changes can make your speech sound more fluent and engaging. Pronunciation is another key area to focus on. When we communicate, it's not just about what we say, but how we say it. Practicing clear pronunciation will make your conversation smoother and more effective. To improve, listen closely to how native speakers pronounce words. Notice their rhythm, intonation, and how they stress certain syllables. Then, try to mimic them. You can use online tools or apps to listen to native speakers and repeat after them. Even watching movies or TV shows in English and pausing to repeat lines can be a fun and effective way to practice. Now, let's talk about maintaining a conversation. One way to keep the dialogue flowing is by using follow-up questions. Let's say someone tells you, I just got back from a trip to Spain. Instead of responding with a simple, that's nice, you could ask, wow, Spain. What was your favorite part of the trip? Or, what cities did you visit? These follow-up questions show that you're interested and give the other person a chance to share more. It also takes the pressure off you because they'll be doing more of the talking. Another way to keep a conversation alive is by sharing a little about yourself. For example, if someone mentions that they enjoy playing soccer, you might respond with, I've always wanted to try soccer. I usually play basketball, but soccer looks so exciting. How often do you play? By sharing something about yourself, you make the conversation more interactive and create a sense of mutual exchange. Now, let's address a common challenge: what to do when you're unsure about what to say. This can happen to anyone, especially when speaking a second language. The key is to stay calm and use simple strategies to buy yourself time. You could say, that's an interesting point. Let me think about that for a moment. Or you can rephrase what the other person said, giving yourself a moment to collect your thoughts. For example, if someone says, I find history fascinating, you could respond with, history is such a rich subject. What period do you enjoy studying the most? To truly excel in conversational English, you need to practice regularly. But here's a tip. Don't just practice in a structured way, like in a classroom. Try to engage in real-life conversations whenever possible. Whether it's chatting with a colleague, joining a group discussion, or even talking to yourself while cooking dinner, every bit of practice helps. If you don't have someone to practice with, consider joining online language exchange groups. These communities are full of people who are also looking to improve their language skills, and they offer a supportive environment for practice. Let's also talk about body language. Did you know that communication isn't just about words? Nonverbal cues like gestures, facial expressions, and posture play a huge role in how your message is received. For example, maintaining good eye contact shows that you're engaged in the conversation. Smiling can make you appear more friendly and approachable. Even the way you nod your head can indicate that you're listening and agreeing with what's being said. When it comes to tone, think about how your voice conveys your emotions. A monotone voice can make you sound uninterested, while a varied tone shows enthusiasm. Practice speaking with energy and emotion, especially when you're talking about topics you're passionate about. This makes your conversation more lively and enjoyable for both you and the person you're speaking with. Mistakes are inevitable when learning a new language, and that's okay. Instead of feeling embarrassed, view them as opportunities to learn. For instance, if someone corrects your grammar, don't be discouraged. Thank them for helping you improve. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. Every mistake you make brings you one step closer to fluency. Lastly, let's consider the cultural aspect of conversational English. Language isn't just about words, it's also about understanding the culture behind them. For example, in some cultures, it's common to be very direct, while in others, people tend to be more indirect to avoid confrontation. Learning about these cultural nuances can help you navigate conversations more effectively. For instance, understanding that Americans often say, "How's it going?" as a casual greeting, even when they don't expect a detailed response, can save you from confusion. In summary, improving your conversational English is a journey that involves vocabulary building, practicing pronunciation, mastering small talk, and understanding cultural nuances. With consistent effort and a positive attitude, you'll find yourself becoming more confident and fluent in no time. Let's take a deeper dive into some more advanced techniques for mastering conversational English. We've covered the basics, but to reach fluency, you'll need to step up your game. One effective way to do this is by practicing active listening. Active listening means truly focusing on what the other person is saying, without planning your response while they're talking. It's about understanding the speaker's words, emotions, and intentions. This is a skill that goes beyond just hearing words. It involves thinking critically and responding thoughtfully. When you listen actively, you're able to ask better questions, provide more insightful answers, and connect with the speaker on a deeper level. Active listening is essential for any great conversation, as it shows respect and interest in the other person's point of view. To practice active listening, try repeating back what the speaker has said, but in your own words. This is called paraphrasing, and it helps confirm your understanding. For example, if someone says, "I've been feeling tired lately because of my new job," you could respond with, "It sounds like your new job is really demanding. I can see why you'd feel tired." This shows that you've been paying attention and makes the conversation more engaging. Another way to improve conversational skills is by focusing on your fluency. Fluency refers to your ability to speak smoothly and without hesitation, even when you don't know the exact word for something. To practice fluency, try speaking about a topic for a set period of time, like 2 minutes or 5 minutes without stopping. You can start by choosing simple topics, such as, "What did you do this weekend?" or "What's your favorite food?" This exercise helps you think on your feet, and it's okay if you make mistakes along the way. Fluency is about communication, not perfection. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become with expressing yourself quickly and clearly. One of the biggest hurdles for many learners is dealing with nerves or anxiety when speaking English. It's normal to feel a little anxious when speaking a second language, but don't let that hold you back. One way to build confidence is by practicing in a safe and supportive environment. You can start by speaking with close friends or family members who won't judge you. As you get more comfortable, try to engage in conversations with strangers or even online language exchange partners. Remember, making mistakes is a part of the learning process. Every time you speak, you're getting better, and with each conversation, your confidence will grow. It's also important to learn how to manage conversations effectively. For example, if you feel like the conversation is running out of steam, you can introduce a new topic or ask a follow-up question. Here's an example. If you're talking about movies and the conversation starts to slow down, you could ask, "What's the last movie you saw in the theater?" Or, "Do you have a favorite actor or actress?" These questions help you keep the conversation flowing, and they also show that you're genuinely interested in learning more about the other person's experiences. Another critical aspect of improving your conversational English is developing your ability to use transitions effectively. Transitions are words or phrases that help connect your ideas smoothly, making your conversations more coherent and easier for others to follow. For example, when you want to add more information, you can use phrases like "in addition," "furthermore," or "not only that." When presenting contrasting ideas, you might say, "However," "on the other hand," or "that being said." Transitions act as bridges between your sentences, helping to guide your listener through your thoughts seamlessly. Practicing these phrases in context can make your speech more polished and professional. Additionally, understanding and practicing idiomatic expressions can greatly enhance your ability to engage in natural conversations. Idioms are phrases where the meaning isn't immediately clear from the individual words, such as "break the ice," which means to start a conversation in a relaxed way, or "hit the nail on the head," meaning to describe something perfectly. Using idioms correctly can make your English sound more fluent and native-like. Start by learning a few common idioms and practicing them in sentences. For instance, if someone asks how your weekend was, you might say, "It was a blast. I got to spend time with my friends." This not only shows your understanding of casual expressions, but also makes the conversation more lively and relatable. Learning how to respond appropriately to different tones and situations is another essential skill. Conversations can be formal, like in a business meeting, or informal, like when chatting with friends. Being able to adapt your language and tone accordingly is crucial. For formal situations, use polite language and avoid slang. For example, instead of saying, "What's up?" you might say, "How are you doing today?" On the other hand, in informal settings, it's perfectly fine to use more casual language. By practicing in both formal and informal contexts, you can develop the flexibility to navigate any conversational situation with ease. Building a strong vocabulary is equally important. To express yourself clearly, you need to have a wide range of words at your disposal. One effective way to expand your vocabulary is by learning words in context rather than in isolation. For example, instead of just memorizing the word excited, learn phrases like, I'm excited about my new job, or she was excited to meet her favorite author. This helps you understand how the word is used in real-life situations. Additionally, try to learn synonyms and related words. For instance, along with excited, you could learn thrilled, overjoyed, and ecstatic. This will allow you to express yourself more vividly and precisely. Pronunciation is another critical area to focus on. Even if your vocabulary and grammar are excellent, unclear pronunciation can make it difficult for others to understand you. To improve your pronunciation, try practicing with tongue twisters, as they help train your mouth and tongue to produce sounds more accurately. For instance, she sells seashells by the seashore can help you practice the S and sh sounds. Additionally, listen to native speakers and mimic their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Record yourself speaking and compare it to native speakers to identify areas for improvement. With consistent practice, you'll notice a significant improvement in your clarity and confidence. Another valuable strategy is to learn how to use questions effectively in conversations. Asking good questions shows that you're interested in the other person and keeps the dialogue going. There are different types of questions you can use. Open-ended questions like, what do you think about the new park in our neighborhood? Encourage the other person to share their thoughts in detail. Closed-ended questions like, do you like coffee? Are useful when you want a simple yes or no answer. Balancing these two types of questions can help you steer the conversation in a natural and engaging way. Understanding body language and nonverbal cues is also essential for successful communication. Sometimes what you don't say speaks louder than words. For example, maintaining eye contact shows that you're paying attention, while nodding occasionally indicates agreement or understanding. Smiling can help create a positive atmosphere, making the other person feel comfortable. On the other hand, crossing your arms or avoiding eye contact might give the impression that you're not interested. Practice being aware of your own body language and observing others to better understand the unspoken elements of communication. Another way to improve is by practicing storytelling. People love hearing stories, and being able to share your own experiences in an engaging way is a great skill. When telling a story, remember to include details that bring it to life. For example, instead of saying, I went to a park and it was nice, you could say, last weekend I visited this beautiful park with tall, green trees and a sparkling lake. I spent hours walking along the trails, listening to the birds and enjoying the fresh air. Adding vivid descriptions and emotions makes your story more interesting and helps the listener feel connected to your experience. If you want to take your conversational skills to the next level, consider joining a language exchange group or finding a speaking partner online. These platforms give you the chance to practice with people from different backgrounds, exposing you to various accents and conversational styles. Additionally, you'll learn about different cultures, which can make your conversations more meaningful and insightful. When practicing with a partner, focus on having natural, flowing conversations rather than just practicing set phrases. This will prepare you for real-life situations where conversations don't always follow a predictable script. Lastly, it's important to reflect on your progress and identify areas for improvement. After each conversation, ask yourself questions like, did I understand the other person clearly? Was I able to express my thoughts effectively? And what could I do better next time?